Hey everybody, and welcome back to this amazing educative series on navigating my aged care. We are at step 6. We are nearly at the end of the journey, and it's been an amazing journey with some fantastic panellists, which we've got here with us today as well. Just a few little things first before we head on into the crux of the day. This is brought to you by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, which is the national network of advocacy services across Australia. But it's also supported by CODA, with great thanks CODA, as part of the Navigators trial. And there are 63 trials going across Australia at the moment, so it's fantastic. Today we are going to be exploring residential aged care. So to my right here, I've got these amazing panellists. I've got Kylie Ford. Kylie, we're coming to you from Wagga as well. So hi from Wagga, and anyone out there from the region, please get on board and give us some Q&A. You've got your experts here. So Kylie Ford is the Aged Care Assessment Service, CNC, so Clinical Nurse Consultant, and Education Officer even, here at Murrumbidgee Health, Local Health District. Welcome.
That's correct, it is a bit of a mouthful.
I have some great titles on this particular show, so we'll chat a little bit further in a second. And Lisa Krebser, is it Krebser?
Krebser.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Lisa is an amazing facility officer or manager out at Woodhaven, which is in Lockhart. And Lisa comes to us with not a great experience in aged care, but she is doing amazing things out there at Woodhaven, and I'm really looking forward to having more of a discussion. So yeah, her clients are the boss. I love that. I really love it. It's good. And then, of course, down the end, the amazing Tammy Caban. Welcome back, Tammy. She is one of the advocates for Seniors' Rights Services, which are the advocacy service here in New South Wales, and she does an amazing job across regional New South Wales around the Wagga area. So a big thanks to you. Okay, bit of housekeeping. Up in the right-hand corner, you'll find your button for Q&A. So please, again, we'd really love some questions, and we have some, and if Laurel, if you're out there, we're looking forward to your questions today. There's also a Facebook group. Now, the Facebook group is a great place for you to get together and share tips of the trade or issues that you've had navigating my aged care, that you can help each other out. It's a really good place to start. And if you go to the Facebook page of OPAN, go to the left, you'll find groups, and it'll be there under navigating. Fantastic. We really want to hear from you. We're looking at residential aged care today, and it's a really big topic. And I guess we were chatting here earlier, and we were just looking at what are some of the important points that we want to get across. And I think one of the pivotal ones is that this is your home, and we are here to assist you in getting the best care and services that you can possibly get. All right, so Kylie, tell me a little.
Yes, Marie.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, and I guess what aged care, you're obviously passionate about it, and why are you in aged care? What does it mean to you?
So my background is a registered nurse, Marie, and I have worked in hospitals and around the community, and about 9 years ago I was very grateful to receive a job in the aged care assessment team. So I've been an assessor, a delegate, and in this role for the last 12 months. I suppose my passion stems from having a 100-year-old grandmother who went into care when she was about 93 and lived in that environment, and only passed away in August this year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So it's obviously very important to me. It's a momentous decision that people make, and it's my role to actually help them in those initial stages throughout the assessment.
Yeah, you're right. It is such an important decision, and not an easy one. You know, it's a real change in life. When we're young, you know, we go to uni, or we do find a career, and then we buy a house and we have babies. But this is another step that we don't think about enough, and I think we're always trying to empower people to get on board. Yeah, and look at how ageing positively for you. Excellent, thank you. Okay, Lisa, tell us about yourself. And I know you're passionate.
Okay, thanks, Marie. Well, my reason for getting into aged care is to give back. I come from a very small community, so I've born and raised in Lockhart, now working with the people in Lockhart to make sure that the care we're giving is, really supportive and relevant. They've given so much to Lockhart as a community, these people. They've built it to what it is, so to be able to support them as they get older and make sure that they're getting what they need in their later years is why I do what I do. And I love it. I love those 23 people. I'm passionate about it, and making sure that they're happy is probably the main thing. A lot of people are really frightened when they first come into aged care. So supporting them through that fear and making sure that, there's a whole group of people there that want them to be happy, healthy, and live their best life, rather than the attitude I think that we see a lot is people think you're going into residential aged care to die.
Yeah.
Well, out at Woodhaven, you're coming in there to live, and that's what we really want to get the message across, that it's not the end of the road, it's the beginning of the next process, which can be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're having fun out there.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're beaming. So
I love it.
Yeah, you're getting some back, aren't you?
A huge amount back, and I think that's the thing. Every day when I walk away, I've learnt a lesson.
Yeah.
I've shared a load. It's really is a passion.
Great.
And most of my staff feel the same way. So we're trying to get a team together that we're all there for that reason.
Fantastic. Really good. Thank you so much. And Tammy, I know you're very passionate. Tell us about yourself.
I've been in aged care for probably about 10 years or so, but I have a passion working in aged care, but I think it's that respect for the older people in the community and what they've done for the community, what they're still doing for the community, and how they've shaped it, no matter what culture or background. There's, such, and they've lived through such times that have been of huge change, and they've built so much resilience as well.
Yeah, gorgeous. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so like I said, we're exploring residential aged care or an aged care home. And look, sometimes it's known as a nursing home as well, so there's multiple terminology. And you will always go back to, we suggest going back to the My Aged Care website and looking at the different terminologies as well. So really, a residential aged care facility is for someone that can no longer live at home. Is that correct? Once we've gone through home care, CSHP and home care packages, residential aged care is the next step, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right, Marie, yes.
Yeah.
So when you feel that you can't manage at home anymore, there are lots of implications of going into care, a change of environment, costs and things like that. So as I said before, it's a very important decision to make, and part of those steps is contacting My Aged Care and asking for an assessment to see if you are eligible for that type of care.
Okay, so let's review that a little bit more. So I know back in webinar 3 we kind of looked at the assessments, calling the contact centre and then the assessments. For residential aged care, it's specifically an ACAT assessment, isn't it? So I'll let you talk us through.
Yes. So when you contact My Aged Care to have an assessment because you need some help at home or you're looking at going into care, the contact centre will ask you some screening questions, and that'll make the decision as to which assessment service you are seen by. So the CHSP or entry level services are assessed by the home support assessors or regional assessment service, and then the comprehensive assessors in ACAT will assess you for residential care or home care packages.
Okay, and then at this stage, should the consumer, client, potential client be searching around and looking for somewhere to stay in their local region?
Oftentimes by the time they actually get to the assessment, if they live in a small community, they already have an idea of where they'd like to go. in the more regional centres or in the cities, obviously there's much more choice. So we can help them on that pathway by giving them some contact lists from My Aged Care website, or directing families and the consumer or client to the website themselves.
Yeah. So we're going to look in a little while at finding a provider tool, but I think we'll just continue chatting for a bit. And don't forget Q&A. So let's go on to, thank you for that, eligibility. And so just so that we have that clear as well, what sort of eligibility does someone need to go into residential aged care?
Sure. So, of course, it's the client's choice first and foremost. So that's why we go and see people, to ask them those questions in the first instance. And eligibility surrounds the need for personal care, health care, emotional support, social support. It encompasses a whole range of supports that are available in aged care, and we determine that by talking with the client and asking certain questions. So the assessment itself probably lasts an hour and a half. To around anywhere between an hour to 2 hours in the client's home, which is our preference.
Yeah, so important.
Occasionally we will see people in hospital that can't go home, but generally we like to see you in your own home where you're most comfortable.
Great, thank you. Alrighty, so we're going over next to, I guess, what is it that aged care providers specifically need or have to provide when you move into residential aged care?
Okay, so when you come into residential aged care, you need to be provided with all your basic daily needs. So starting with, all your food, clean linen, washing, but then there's also the clinical care, the social needs. We need to meet a number of things for our residents. We need to make sure that all of their needs are being met. Continence aids, everything you can think of that you may require to live your life is provided in a residential aged care home. Not necessarily brand specific and that sort of thing. So if there's a particular shampoo or conditioner that your hairdresser has always suggested you use on your hair, that's something you may need to provide yourself. But your normal if normal shampoo, conditioners, everything, toothpaste, toothbrushes, we provide everything.
Beautiful. Excellent. So you have your individual room?
We certainly do at Woodhaven. We have an individual room with an ensuite.
Okay.
And we assess what your needs are. So if you need help with your, your grooming, your daily care, showering, toileting, all those things are provided by the home. If there's specific things you wanted to do, like attend a men's shed, out in the community and things like that, we try and help you organise that through other service providers in town, or family members do that. But if you don't have the family members, we certainly try and get those sort of things happening for you, so that you can still continue to live the life you lived in the community from inside a residential aged care facility. So
beautiful.
It's about trying to keep it as you were, but have that support and care and that extra help that you need.
Beautiful. So on the My Aged Care website, you'll find a list of services and needs that to be met by the provider under the term what aged care homes provide, and it's so clear, I guess quite specific as to what you need to provide, but it's also very nuanced to the particular provider as well, isn't it? So let's have a little look quickly at the provider tool. So the provider tool, it shows you how to put in a postcode. So what's Wagga's postcode?
2650.
2650, Tom. Lovely Tom here today. And as we scroll through, you will note certain providers. Now it's up to the providers to put the documentation onto the website. And you can actually select a couple and compare, and you can see the services that they provide. Now, we do advise as well to ring that provider and have a discussion with that provider to see if they are able to provide those services. And it's about empowering yourselves to own this move, own this ageing process and shopping around. Would you agree? Yeah.
Definitely, Marie. And the other thing I would suggest is to everyone who's having a look there, look them up, find all your information, then ring the facility, ask for a tour.
Yeah.
Ask for a look through, organise it at mealtime so you can have a look at the sort of meals that are being provided, ask them to show you into a room. I think most providers out there are more than happy to show people through their facility. Most of us are very proud of what we're doing. So
and see, that's the beautiful thing as well.
Yeah.
I think we need to get that message loudly across that there are amazing workforce, amazing providers that and advocates, and we're all coming together to try and make sure that everyone has this wonderful journey. Yeah?
Definitely. And talk to the people living there.
Yeah.
Have a chat to the residents, walk around, ask them questions. There's no one more honest than someone living in an aged care facility.
And Lisa, you mentioned earlier that consumers do a lot of feedback as well.
Certainly.
Or clients, residents do a lot of feedback. So you could read those, could you not?
Certainly. We survey our residents every 3 months just to check that we're getting it right, and they are not named. So I would be more than happy to give someone who wants to have a look through my surveys, have a look at the feedback we're being given.
Powerful.
And then ask me the questions, this one says the soup's too runny, what have you done about it?
Okay.
And I can then show you how we fix that.
Because that would be important as well,
I think,
particularly if you had Parkinsonian or any of those sorts of things. Very important.
And I think probably the number one thing that is important to people is the food.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Food's my bonus.
Look, it is. Every single is your food prepared on site?
Yeah.
Is it fresh? Who writes your menus? Who's preparing it? And I get that because food is also one of my.
It's also very social. Go.
I was just about to say one of the common questions or issues that we find is helping people to eat, giving them time to eat and prompting to eat, especially if they've got a cognitive impairment. So that's a really important function, obviously, of the aged care staff.
Yeah, so important, so very important. I can see you nodding. As an advocate, is this something that you have to deal with or get requests to sort of, come in and assist?
A lot of times we do get feedback on either meals or if someone needs assistance with feeding or things like that. So it's just one of many inquiries we have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a social thing too, eating, isn't it? And all of you have mentioned the importance of social interaction and support. And it is pivotal, isn't it, to enjoying aged care services?
Well, it's a very important question that we ask or explore when we're doing a comprehensive assessment with clients and families, because that's often the fear of families, that their loved one is at home and they're isolated. So as well as whilst they're in the home, linking them in with local community supports is really important.
Yeah.
But once a person feels that they can no longer be supported in their home, the social access for people in an aged care facility is often quite surprising to them. Having done a number of assessments over the years for people in an aged care facility, often they dig their feet in and go, I'm not going. But once they are there, they actually find it's quite liberating and they wish they'd done it a lot earlier.
Yeah.
So
Woohoo!
that's good feedback on the residential care facilities that we have in our region.
That's great. Thanks, Kylie, because it's so important. Okay, so we have a question here from Steve. Is there a minimum standard of information that providers have to put on My Aged Care? Now, hang on a second. Why do some only have some information and others have more? It's a really good question, Steve. Can we answer that here today? Probably not. Or is it a My Aged Care question?
Probably a My Aged Care question.
Yeah.
But it may be just what the actual provider is putting that, because it's up to them to update their information. It's up to them to review it and make sure they've got the appropriate amount, or it's informative enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Steve, I'd maybe go back to My Aged Care website, have a really good search. If not, see if you can contact them and find out some more information. And if you do, get back to me, and I'd really like to hear about that as well so that we can answer it for other people. Fabulous. So we're halfway through the first webinar. Can you believe it? So we're next looking at, very briefly, aged care home costs and fees. Now, the first thing that we need to say is the caveat: please seek financial advice and talk to Centrelink. It's really important, again, that you plan for this way before you need it. Too soon or too often, particularly in the acute care sector, we see people that are vulnerable at home, they've had a fall, and they enter My Aged Care through this service, and nothing is organised or planned. Would you agree with that, ladies?
I have to say that one of the questions, or some of the questions that we do ask during the comprehensive assessment surround will making, enduring powers of attorney, enduring guardianship, and advanced care directives.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't done it, hopefully the conversation will start at that point. And we do, as a part of our comprehensive assessment, give you an overview of how to actually start off with the financial component of aged care. And obviously that's a very big fear of elderly people, is the cost of aged care. So to reassure them, we say that you can go to Centrelink and to have the Centrelink paperwork done.
Yeah,
prior,
absolutely.
So it gives you an idea of how much it's going to cost you.
There are also, again, on the website, and we're going to look at that, some fee estimators. And advocacy services can also sometimes advise where you could get more help.
Yeah, we do get a lot of calls. We can't actually give independent financial advice. We can give give some general information on what fees may be charged within a residential facility. However, we do advise to go to Centrelink and talk to a financial information service officer. They're the appropriate people to have a chat to. If not, talk to a financial advisor that has a lot of knowledge in aged care, and they may be able to give you the right advice as well.
Okay. Cool. So, Lisa, we're going to talk a bit about fees. So, there are a few, aren't there? There's a basic daily fee, there's a means. So, tell us a bit more.
So, there's a basic daily care fee.
Okay.
Which is at the moment $51.63 per day. So, these fees actually change every July.
Okay.
And September. So
okay.
They're a moving fee. So there's that one. But then everything is means tested. So I think prior to coming into residential aged care, they're the things we'll ask you to get done, which is your ACAT assessment, of course, first, and your paperwork through Centrelink.
Okay.
We don't try and assume what anyone may have to pay coming into our facility. You know, we're not financial accountants. We're not, able to work out what assets, what income, all that sort of thing.
Very personal details.
It is very personal. So that paperwork generally takes between 6 and 8 weeks through Centrelink. So it's something worth pre-planning.
Yes.
And then I think it's valid for almost 12 months once you've done that paperwork.
Oh, fantastic.
So I think it's around the 12-month mark. So you don't have to make your decision right there on the spot that that's where you're going to go. But you can have your paperwork all worked out. And once you've got your ACAT, if it's saying that you are entitled to residential aged care, probably putting that paperwork into Centrelink, I would recommend you do that sort of as soon as possible.
Fantastic. So that's really important information, and that's what these discussions can tease out sometimes, that little nuance.
Just having it all ready to go.
Cool.
And the other thing, like Kylie said, your advanced care plans and your enduring guardianship and those sort of things, prior to needing it and prior to not being able to make the decisions for yourself, I think having those things in place is so important whilst you're able to make the choices, because families trying to guess what you want or, try and assume what your choices may have been, they may not get it right. And I've seen families absolutely beside themselves
Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
trying to guess what mum or dad might have wanted.
Yeah.
So I think, well, I know I made my husband do his advanced care directive the other day, and I've certainly done mine. I've got my parents
Yeah.
organised.
Yeah.
You know, it just getting it all done so that if you can change them, they're not
Yeah.
cemented
They're not.
in.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so certainly getting those sort of things done, and it's a discussion you probably don't want to have, but it's an easier discussion to have prior to you actually having to have it.
I agree. And
gonna
I've
say
done
it's-
similar stuff. I've got myself all organised.
Yeah.
I suppose that most important thing is thinking about it and having the discussion with your
Yeah.
family, and then writing it down.
Yeah, and look, the more I talk to people and the more people I've met across Australia, it's so important to start having that conversation, and we're slowly changing the narrative that it's not a bad conversation. It's actually a really good one, and we're really looking forward to the next thing.
It's actually not even about age.
No.
That's the thing with all these documents. We're talking any age.
Yeah.
I think everyone on this panel would have all those documents in place, and yes, as I said, it's important
Yeah.
for everyone to have
Yeah.
those.
Thank you. Yeah, excellent. So let's just go back to fees just ever so briefly. Again, seek financial advice. The means tested, what does that mean? Just to extrapolate it out a little bit more for someone out there watching.
So means tested means that all of your financial information is sent in, and depending on how much money you have, that will depend on what fees and charges apply to you. So, you know, it might be that you have to pay residential accommodation, like deposit and things like that. A lot of facilities charge that fee, which can range anywhere from, I believe on my research, $180,000 up to around the $500,000 mark. That is refundable. So the facilities use that. They use the interest off that money to then finance the facility, and it does go back to the family once a resident is no longer in care. But you know, these sort of things are things that are really worth noting if you're in quite a good financial position.
Yes.
That these will be some of the things that do apply to you when you're looking at aged care.
That's exactly what I was looking for. And it's very provider orientated, isn't it? It'll change between different providers.
Certainly,
Great.
yeah. So, like I said, around our area, the small not-for-profits, I can tell you ours at the moment is $250,000.
Okay.
But if you go over 500,000, that is, you have to gain special permission.
Okay.
In order to do that. So anywhere up to 500,000, a facility can set themselves.
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question. What happens if you don't have $250,000?
So you may pay part of that and then pay interest on what's outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it can get quite expensive, and knowing all these things before you come in is really super important, because we don't want anyone to get in there and then suddenly say, I can't afford this. So, but yeah, if you don't have that, then your means test would come back to say that you don't have to pay that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I think you do have time to pay it, don't you?
Oh, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay it before you walk in the door?
No.
There can be some financial arrangements
so you
made
can
with the
talk
facility.
to the facility about that,
Yeah.
and they will have different policies in place regarding that sort of payment.
In my experience, the facility staff are usually very helpful at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, again, so important that, you know, we have this holistic panel that we all get together and we talk and we understand. You know, I'm the facilitator here, so every time I do this, I learn so much more from you guys as well. So you're imparting that wonderful knowledge across. So thank you. Thanks. We've got a couple of questions. I've got Jared here. When searching for a residential aged care provider, is there an option to filter by specialisation? What does a provider have to do to specialise in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander services? Tammy?
A provider, just because someone goes into care, they don't leave their culture or their self in the community where they once lived. They're still a part of that community, and it's up to the person. It's the provider and the person or family can have a conversation about how they can include culture. It's including family, if Aboriginal Torres Strait Islanders, including family within their care and services. So it's a personal thing, so it's within assessments, within the care plan, to be involved and see what can happen socially, culturally, whatever it takes to make that person feel a part of the community and that the home a part of their community.
Beautiful.
Did you want to add to that?
I was just going to add that there is a minimum standard and that all providers have to provide inclusive care for everyone. If you provide additional services for different cultures or ethnicities or any other special needs groups, then I think you have to provide some sort of evidence of that, and you can actually put that information on My Aged Care.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And it all comes under the Quality Aged Care Standards and the Charter of Aged Care Rights, which we will be talking about very shortly in the next webinar. So we have made it to time, but I've got a quick question from Laurel, who is on every webinar. So thanks, Laurel. I told you she'd give us a question. Can you tell us something about a person with only the aged pension, no assets, re-aged care home admission? There's two parts. Do all residential aged care facilities have concessional places?
Hi, Laurel. So yes. So if you have no assets, you've been on a pension, that sort of thing, you certainly, with the means test, it would come back that that basic daily care fee would come out of your pension. You'd be left with a certain part of your pension, but you wouldn't be paying any of the other fees and charges that are so dependent upon, your fees would literally just come out of your pension, and you would be left with a small portion for chemist bills and things like that. And all your needs would be met.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't differentiate between someone who's coming in paying a accommodation deposit or someone coming in on a full pension. The same care is delivered across the board. You have the same rights, and you certainly have the same choices.
Absolutely. Beautifully put. Nice way to end this session. So everyone, we will have a quick break and we will catch up with you in half an hour. We're going to be looking at the Charter of Aged Care Rights, how to make a complaint. Sometimes it's having that conversation and that's all it is. And take it away. So thank you, ladies. We'll see you in half an hour.
Thank you.